This is Boomer Life on CISL 650.
Need money. Need money. Talking about money, money, money. We need some money. We need the moolah, y'all.
Well, there's pretty much a universal theme that I'm certainly going to get behind in a big hurry. We do need money. Lots and lots of moolah money. There you go. It's Boomer Life on CISL 650. Stirling Faux with Brett Luckin from Abakhan and Associates. They are proposal administrators and trustees in bankruptcy with 5 offices around our provinces. We talked, Brett, briefly in the last segment about specifically zooming in on boomers. It's Boomer Life, after all. I mean, we would certainly be expected to address that. And you started talking about retirement and how a lot of people are actually quite literally putting retirement on hold because they're carrying too much debt. And then you added something that I really wanted you to expand on for a second. And we're going to see, I think, more examples of it in the States first than we are here in Canada, but we are not immune from unexpected pension surprises. In other words, pension monies that we're expecting that may not materialize down the road because the company or the municipality or whatever can't afford to pay the pension.
Yes. In its extreme form, I suppose you're looking at something like what's happening in Greece right now.
Sure.
The city of Detroit is another good example.
Yes.
I think the bankruptcy judge there, in fact, compromised many of the public pensions. So in its extreme form, what you have is such a large-scale compromising of what people thought they were going to receive.
Right.
Okay. In its sort of less extreme. I mean, it's highly unlikely that anything like that will happen in Canada.
Not that extreme.
Not
sure.
extreme,
right.
no. But
disappointments on the pension
disappointments,
side. Sure.
And I think what it really comes down to is something that, as trustees in bankruptcy, we tend to see a lot of, and that is a lack of accountability of personal responsibility to certain issues. So an example will be where people get themselves into debt, not only just because they don't really understand credit and the nature of credit, and yes, that is a huge factor, but also because perhaps there is not enough understanding of the personal accountability you hold when you take on debt. And obviously that then later on comes back and visits people because there's a lot of guilt and shame associated with realizing that you got yourself into a hole you probably could have avoided if you tried.
Right.
And at a pension fund issue, there is obviously you got your public pension issues where there's an enormous amount of reliance on the level of the public worker that is what he or she is going to receive, and it's unequivocal and it can never change.
Right.
And I suppose what we should be looking at more in society is a little bit of personal accountability, and that personal accountability devolves down into the obvious: budgets.
Right.
Are you budgeting? Do you understand that even if that pension flows in 5 years or 10 years from now, that it's going to be X amount per month? And when you look at what you're currently spending relative to what that pension is going to give you, can you live inside of that?
Right.
And of course, that's where the whole thing comes in, where you suddenly realize there's no way you're going to be able to pay back your credit card debt. It's just not possible.
And this is why people are saying that I can't retire.
I can't
What are you
retire
kidding me?
at
I
65.
can't retire.
Absolutely.
No, not a chance.
I have to keep working.
I'm
I have
in
no
hock
choice.
for serious bucks here. I
and
can't
so
retire.
you see public service people, in fact, in the public service, you see them retiring and then coming back again and working again. And that's practically, it's just simply because they have no choice. There's no option that they have, right? And of course, then there's the whole thing about pension fund liabilities, where will the pension you thought you were going to get, is that in fact what will derive into your pocket at the end of the day?
Right.
And I think that we should be taking responsibility for the fact that it may not be. It may not be exactly what we thought we were going to get. It may be less. There may be a certain trimming on benefits on the left or the right or the up or the bottom, right?
And then, Brett, it becomes even more complicated if you don't have a pension to look forward to. If you're a self-directed person and you've made a few investments, you've got an RSP, maybe a TFSA or whatever, but you don't have any guarantee whatsoever of a monthly stipend beyond whatever CPP and OAC. That's a pretty minimal cash flow to exist.
Yes, there's complete reliance on by many people, in fact, that their CPP and the OAS is it, right? And that's what I'm going to get, and I'm going to be fine on that. I often even see people coming to my office at the age of 62, 63, and asking me if I could figure out a way that they can make it to 65 on their current income, because when they're 65 they'll get OAS, right? So can they make it? Because right now they can't, and it's really because years before that they didn't sit down and think about their cash flow and what they needed to do in order to put themselves in a position where that wasn't a problem.
So if you're counseling someone and they're in debt and they come to you for that 1-hour free visit, and it turns out that they should probably file a consumer proposal, that would be the most practical remedy. But they're on the verge of retirement. They're gonna carry their payments into retirement. Is that doable? Is that legal?
Sometimes, oh yeah, it's completely legal.
Okay.
The question really is whether it's doable.
You're practical.
And yeah,
right?
and in fact, and again, that is our job. Our job is to sit down with you, look at your situation, not just in isolation today, but yes, if you are 63 and in 2 years you intend to retire,
right,
and you file a consumer proposal that, I don't know, let's say arguably is $600 a month, which right now might be doable,
sure,
but suddenly in 2 years is not, then in a situation like that, I am going to say to you, can you do this? And in fact, would not going bankrupt be far more preferable? Or is the kind of consumer proposal we file different? Maybe it's not. And consumer proposals are really limited only by the imagination of the trustee.
Oh, so it's not a cookie cutter, one size fits all.
It can be. I mean, very often they look very, very much the same. You know, the same house. You know, just pink, yellow, and green.
Yep.
But in many cases, your trustee can look at your personal financial situation and say, you know what? There's different ways to do this. What if we did it this way? And that is why we are the professionals, because there's no way that the ordinary guy on the street would be able to look at that and be able to figure it out himself.
Not a lot of time here, but what happens if you file one of these proposals and somewhere along the line you drop the ball and you don't make the payments?
Worst case scenario is you have to go bankrupt, so you file a bankruptcy. But there are a number of ways if your trustee believes that you are earnest and honest and
this
you really
was just a glitch.
This was just a glitch.
Right.
Where your trustee can, let's call it save. Do a Hail Mary and save your proposal for you, buy you a bit of time.
Okay, so it is. It's not as etched in stone as some might think.
No.
As long as the spirit of the agreement is being followed.
You have hit it on the nail. The whole concept is the spirit of the Bankruptcy Insolvency Act is to rehabilitate the honest and unfortunate debtor. That is the job of the Bankruptcy Insolvency Act. So if the trustee believes that that's who you are, the trustee will try help you to make it work.
And this from the man who just moments ago said, there's always a solution.
Yes.
And hope. Let's not leave that out of our parting thoughts here,
There's
Brett.
always hope.
There's always hope, and if you're at the end of your tether and you're just not able to see even a glimmer of hope, perhaps it's time you picked up the phone or shot an email off to our friends at Abakhan and Associates. Brett is a most approachable man. You can find his contacts and all of those of his colleagues on their website at abakhan.com, ABAKHAN.com. Brett Luckin, always great to see you.
Thank you, Stirling.
Thanks for coming by.
Thanks very much.
And we'll see you all next time, right here on Boomer Life.